Now called Kevin Humphreys.
First of all, Minister, I want to welcome the reform for the VECs. I think it's been a good couple of weeks. We've seen this bill coming through, but we've also seen the reform of the junior cert and also the announcement by Phil Hogan of reform in local government, which were all talked about for many decades, but never actually happened. So I'm glad to see that the reform agenda is being pushed through. Can I say it makes perfect sense to reform the VECs from 33 to 16, or originally 38, and replace the 9 existing vocational educational acts to 1, and having to go through the educational acts as chair of the VEC, it certainly simplifies matter. And I welcome Sean Crow's contribution by saying this is not just about saving money, it's actually making it fit for purpose, which it hasn't been for a long time. I think these boards will reflect the reality of educational boards that do not need to be focused on a county basis, but can reflect population and region. Now that the boards will be rationalised, it's important to refocus and look at areas where the VECs can carry out a greater role in education and retraining. And I think it's notable that the word training is included in the title of the new boards, because it's fighting for our workforce to recognise that alongside education, we have to train people with the right skills for the workforce, which has not necessarily happened in the educational sector. VECs were always associated for a long time with apprenticeships. I don't think the apprenticeship model is outdated. I think it has to be reformed, has to be looked at again. And if you look what's happening with the European model that operates in Germany and Netherlands, where they have expanded the ideas of apprenticeships, I think we should look at that now that we've reformed the education boards. I think there's much work to be done, and if you're to have an export-led recovery, a focus on skills is needed with a structure in place that gives people a path to jobs, whether it's in services, manufacturing, agriculture, or in industry. I have to say, my own experience of the VEC in Dublin as a former pupil, and I think it's the first chair that was educated by the VEC. I think Nessa Childers and myself had the privilege of going to Ringsend Tech, which is now Ringsend College, but was originally developed as a school to educate young people in the fishing skills, and boat building. And that gives you the idea of how VECs can change and reinvent themselves. And I believe, certainly with the experience from the VECs in Dublin, is they're reforming, innovative and enterprising. And we've seen that now with the rollout of SUSI, where they're dealing with the grants. And I think that's where we need to allow the old VEC or the new educational boards to develop. It reminds me very much when I was chair, the principal in Crumlin said, we have an awful lot of new people unemployed. Our courses are not necessarily designed to suit them, because some of them have third level. So she went out to the unemployment exchange, done a survey of people that had come recently unemployed, and wanted to look at what courses and what new skills they needed to learn to get them back into the educational market. And from that, she designed a course covering 10 modules that were oversubscribed from people that have been recently, and these would be people with degrees, anxious to fill in the gaps that they needed to get back into the educational market. So when I'm talking about innovation, it's that it can be at that very basic level. And also the VECs the old VECs has huge experience in building matters. Can we use that as a hub of knowledge to help our primary and other secondary schools to use their expertise in the building sectors? If you look at the example of Ballyfermot College, which is now down to the arts and the pupils coming out winning Oscars on an international stage. 10 years ago, nobody would have been thinking that VECs would expand into that area and create real jobs, creating, what I would call an international presence. And I think we have to allow the new educational boards to look at the wide expand and see where they want to go. Minister,
just 1 minute remaining.
Minister, very close to your own home ground, which we share, Ballsbridge College, has partnered with the Chinese embassy
to look at ways of developing language skills for young unemployed people in Ireland. Again, that's the innovation we want. And I think by bringing it down to the new 16 boards, I think it will allow other colleges to develop that. Minister, I believe you have to make space to allow them to grow into new sectors that we haven't even thought about. To say to the CEOs, come back with good ideas, and I'll support you. The one thing I would ask you is when we look at different areas, I'm anxious that we don't see the likes of Youth Reach left behind. Because Youth Reach, especially in urban areas, gives young people that were left behind a second opportunity. I had a group in this morning from the Parnell Street area that when they were in education, it didn't work for them. But Youth Reach has opened it up. They're doing European studies. They were in here looking at how the democratic system works, and they were excited again about education. And these were young people in their 20s that just said, school was a bore. I'm delighted I'm getting a second chance. And I think we need to make sure that happens. The one thing I would be anxious about, Minister, I know you have real experience of it as well, is in urban areas, VECs concentrate on the second, when they're doing when they're doing Leaving Cert and Junior Cert, as it is now, is that they're anxious that no disadvantaged child is left behind. They work way beyond duty to try and keep those in education. And my experience is where VECs have pulled out of providing that junior cycle level is that young people have fallen out of education, that the schools that don't normally have the experience in dealing with severely disadvantaged children, possibly with numeracy and literacy problems. And I believe the new boards need to stay in that space because they have the experience. But I think going forward now, I think there's a wonderful opportunity to develop the new 16 educational boards to move into a new position. And I think it will enhance the opportunities of our young people.
Thank you. I know